This moment has a little bit of a very particular energetic vibration. I haven't gone to the grocery store in a few weeks, and I went, and it's a very strong vibration there of this overall arching vibration. And what it feels like to me, I also think that because it's global, that even those that aren't used to feeling kind of frequency vibration can feel it. But what it feels to me is there's a mixture. It's a mixture of things, as it always is. There's a mixture of grief and sadness and fear and anxiety. The anxiety is real strong in the grocery store. And but within that, there is also a vibration of connection, a vibration of longing, which from a spiritual perspective is one of the most deeply beautiful vibrations. It's the longing that we feel deep within ourselves for connection and a sense of longing, and that's there. There is also the vibration of surrender, which is also a deeply potent spiritual vibration and practice. And we all are in some ways being forced to surrender into this, right? Not necessarily choosing it, but it is what it is. And like any moment in surrender, there is the fighting the current, walking upstream, and the effort and the energy that it takes to fight that upstream motion. And then there's the moment where you decide to let go, and there is a release into the current. And I think that because there are so many varying experiences on where we are in our own lives and where you are on the survival mode spectrum, that surrender comes at different ways and feels and is repetitive, right? I have moments of surrender and I feel that I can rest back, and then I come right back to walking upstream and resisting against things. And so depending on where you are there, but for all of us, because there is this particular vibration, there is I don't want to say opportunity, there is we are hardwired to see the negative. It's part of our survival mechanisms. Our brains are scanning for defect, scanning for defect, scanning for defect. Some of us are better at that than others, right? Some of us might have had some trauma in their life and get really good at looking for what's wrong, hypervigilance. Some of us, it's not as much ingrained in our life, but that sort of perked up survival of like noting what's wrong, the looking for the negative, it's hardwired. And our brains, it's like Velcro to our brains, it sticks. You see the one thing that is off or bad, and it's really easy to go down there because we're designed that way. And so, although we want to acknowledge the quality of the vibration and the experience that is challenging right now, we want to balance that with the solve that comes from practice and connection to the source within us that is not negative, that is not scanning for danger, that has deep knowing and deep roots into the ground and comfort. And so it requires practice, and this is sort of the hard, like this is the hard part about it, is that, again, depending on where you are on that spectrum, For some of us, it requires a lot more practice, and then you become a yoga teacher because you can't survive without practicing all the time, right? Some of us, we can get it more quickly. But either way, it requires effort, and it's like building a muscle. It takes time and it takes patience. So we're gonna do a meditation, and I made an accurate acronym. Well, that word was hard to pronounce. An acronym, and feel proud of myself right there. And it's BN it. So B like the letter B, N like the letter N, and then the letter IT, which makes it. So be in it. I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like I could write a book now. Okay, so the first part of it is to just be. So it's to come into our body, to find the place in ourselves in this moment that is up, that is like a particular peak for whatever it is for you. Maybe it is like, oh God, the sunshine, and that is where you're at. And for some of us, if it's more of the like bleh sensation, to find and focus on one part of that. We'll find it in our body, and then we'll just be with that place. The next one is the N, and that's the need. And so once we've sat with it for a moment, we will ask it, what do you need? And it is surprising that once you give your awareness to a place and ask it that question, it will tell you really specifically what you need. And then from there, what would you like me to know? So this is the I, the info. What information do you have to share with me about this particular wave, about this particular experience that you're having in this moment? And often there is some good information. There's something there for you. It's not like making meaning or the end all be all solution to anything, but it is a piece of information that helps soften the experience of being in the midst of a wave of tumbling through the emotion, and that knowledge, that knowing and understanding allows you to pull back and realize that you are the ocean, and this is just one wave rolling through. And then the last one is a T, which is for thank you. So for gratitude. Then once we've asked and we've sat, we've gotten what we've gotten from it, we take a moment and we say thank you. And I think here for the gratitude piece, it's not just generalized, like what to me feels most potent and most healing is not like a generalized thank you of thanks, that's great, or oh, I feel gratitude for feeling better. Like I feel gratitude for the opportunity of growth. Like those are real generic gratitudes. Like it's got to be like something that actually is specific. Mine was to I feel grateful for being able to be scared. I feel grateful to realize that I can both be strong and be afraid. And some other ones, like if the feeling were anger, thank you for showing me that I need help. If the feeling is sadness, thank you for allowing me to let go of perfection. If you're scared, thank you for trying to protect me. So when you find the thank you, you will repeat it multiple times to that spot. And then we'll rest into awareness of that, and then we'll move our bodies really gently to just kind of move that energy through and calm the nervous system. What I want to do is, I'm explaining all of this now so that in a second when we practice, that I can talk less and you will kind of know what I'm talking about. And I'll cue us, I'll kind of come in and say, okay, now ask, what do you need? But I'm not going to go through a long explanation of it so that you can spend some time in the quiet. Yeah. And here's what I can promise. I don't feel better touching in on my fear, it actually arose as despair. It didn't make me feel better. I still feel it. But it is welcome instead of resisted. And when I resist it, it is more painful than when I welcome it. And so we are in the midst of the moment. The moment isn't over. And so the feeling better, at least for me, it's more of a wave. And so this practice isn't meant to be like, oh, okay, God, thank God, now it's over, I feel better. It's meant to be able to feel that it is welcomed and that you have capacity within you to hold it, which you all do, 100%. Yeah? So you're gonna come on over to a place on your mat and make sure that you have stuff that, you know, makes you feel comfortable. So you can sit on a cushion or some blankets. You prop yourself up. I'm recording this for the podcast, this meditation, because I think it's actually really important. That's why I have my phone in front of me like this. Okay, so once you get into a comfortable seat, I always find that practicing meditation is easier with my eyes closed, but you're always welcome to have the eyes open too. People can practice meditation that way. And we will be sitting for about 15 minutes. So just making sure that you're comfortable enough to be able to sit for that amount of time. So sit up higher if you feel like your legs will fall asleep. And then just also know too that if at any point you need to lay down, if that's a more comfortable way for you to practice, because you can feel more into your body if we are not in physical discomfort. It's okay to practice laying down as long as you're not someone who falls asleep. So you have to balance the comfort falling asleep ratio and choose the place that's going to allow you to stay present, but also comfortable. And so once you've landed in your comfortable seat or resting on your back, if you've chosen that, you might let the eyes close here for a moment. The hands can rest anywhere that feels comfortable for you to start. And to begin, we always bring ourselves into our bodies and into the space around us, into the flesh and bone of your body. Trying to let go of anything that you have to do later, anything that was happening before. Being just where you are right now. You are hopefully safe in your home. You are comfortable in your seat or on your back. The air around you is warm, comforting. If you're seated, you're noticing the sitting bones, earthing that into the earth, traveling up the center channel and out through the crown of the head. So that there is a long, solid connection from the line of the stars down into the earth and through your beautiful body. If you're laying down, just noticing the back side of your body and allowing that to connect to the earth, feel settled and supported, and that the front side of the body is expansive and receptive. And so we call in the participation of the divine. We'll chant the mantra Om Shrim Lakshmiye Namaha. We'll do that 3 times. And we'll chant it once so that you hear it, and then we'll do it 3 times together. So Goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance, of spiritual wealth. She is the earth mother. Om Shri Lakshmiye Namaha. Om Shri Lakshmiye Namaha. Om Shri Lakshmiye Namaha. Om Shri Lakshmiye Namaha. And then any other guides or spirits that you work with personally, guides of the highest truth and compassion, calling them in by name, your personal guardian angels, spirit animals, nature fairies, other divine forms you work with, or the energy of light. Just naming them, calling them in, and asking for their support, their blessing, their guidance, their vast wisdom. And then once the guides are called in, I want you to notice whatever it is that is the peaking wave in your experience right now. And by peaking wave, the most predominant emotion. If it doesn't show up as an emotion, and maybe it's showing up as a story that kind of is repeating itself in your mind. If it's showing up as a lot of to-do lists or kind of worry, you might title that anxiety. And it doesn't have to be specific or, in quotation marks, correct to start, just the one that comes to mind. Some of us don't feel in the sense of a word, and so you might just notice a particular sensation that feels louder than the others and go with that, even if you don't have a label for it. And then we move into where it is located in the body. So either really holding your attention on the sensation or repeating the word of the feeling in your mind, or even replaying the story if that's what's helpful. And at the same time, broadening your awareness enough to locate where this feeling, where this wave, where today's moment is being held in your body. It often can be held in more than one spot, but there is usually one that is the loudest, the one that might even physically move, that it has a frequency, like the radio dial is turned up a little bit louder there. That can also be the first doorway in. Sometimes we don't know what the emotion is until we find it in the body, and then it reveals itself. So that's okay if you go that route. Once you find this place in your body, our work here is to just be with this place. So you can do that with your mind, or I always find it a little bit easier to actually place my hands on that spot in my body. And if you use your hands or your mind, we imagine that we are cradling that spot like the most gentle, because if you would cradle like how a tiny baby chick or like the tiniest little newborn kitten, we cradle this with just such tenderness. We place our hands on it in the most loving and nurturing way. And that there's nothing to do here except witness, see, feel, and be with this aspect of yourself right now. Allow for whatever it is to be. Notice if you run away or leave and come back. It'll be quiet for a few moments as we practice being. And hopefully you've had a moment to feel this space, to be with this space. And if you need more time, it's okay to stay there. The next step is need. What do you need? And so from that same aspect of just loving, nurturing, such tenderness, what do you need? And whatever it says, say yes. Agree to meet its need. And it's okay to stay working with this, working with need. The next step is info. What would you like me to know? Sometimes once the need is agreed to, I will meet that need. It softens and allows a little bit more information, a little bit more depth, a little bit more truth to be revealed. What would you like me to know? Again, in that same just loving, tender way of holding. No judgment, no fixing, no getting rid of. It's receptive, nourishing, nurturing. And then the last step is thanking. So thank you for. Allow that to be specific. It might take a few tries. You start with whatever comes out. You can say this out loud or inside your own mind. Thinking this aspect of yourself. It is a welcomed part. And stay with the gratitude just another minute, really wiring that into our brains. And in the next breath or so, as you're ready, if you're seated, you're going to let yourself lay back onto your back. You don't need it to be anything complicated, just laying down. You don't need to set it up for a long, long visit. And we let the eyes close here in this resting position. And you let the palms open towards the stars. And you rest back. Letting go of any of the specific efforting, just simply allowing yourself to be as it is. Letting whatever comes up, come up. Finding deep exhales. As if you could spread yourself out molecule by molecule, releasing that individual wave and really resting back into the expansiveness of the ocean that you are. Feel that wave draw into you to settle back in, not being gotten rid of, but returning home. Returning to your natural infinite state. And that state holds all things. It has space for everything. You surrender here a few more breaths. And then in the next breath or so, if the knees are bent, you might straighten them. If the knees are straight, you might bend them and draw the knees in towards the chest, just bringing back any sort of intuitive movement in the body. And stretching through fingers and toes, drawing the knees in towards the chest, rocking side to side, just massaging out the low back. And then we'll land resting with the bottoms of the feet on the earth and the knees coming in slightly. So the feet are a little bit wider than hip distance. Knees are bent, knees are coming in. Hands can rest along the belly. Just noticing how you feel. If that was helpful for you, just knowing that you have access to that practice. And if you need help with it, I'm always available. And then in the next breath or so, you're going to draw the knees in towards the chest and let the knees come on over towards your left side. And your left hand will hold on to the top of the leg, and the right hand's going to reach out into a diagonal, getting a big side body stretch. Nice gentle recline twist. Massaging out the low back, coming back through center, and then bringing the knees on over towards the other side. Dropping the knees over towards the right. Right hand rests on top of the thigh. Left hand opens out to the diagonal. And here, having the arm at the diagonal, even if the shoulder doesn't touch the earth, really stretches and opens through the chest, as well as the side body and the side of the hip. And soften here. And come back through center, draw the knees in towards the chest here, rock side to side. And then you'll either rock head to toe to sit up, or you'll roll over to your side body to sit up. And if it's helpful to, when you're in a seat, to sit on a blanket or a cushion, you can feel free to do that. We're going to take the right foot in front of the left, coming to a cross-legged seat, but not tucking the ankles underneath. And we've done this a couple times, but I've really enjoyed it. So we're going to continue. You bring your hands onto the tops of the inner thighs, insides of the knees. And there's a gentle pressing down, and the elbows kind of point out to the sides. And you sway side to side here, just kind of pressing into one and then pressing into the other as you slowly lower a little bit farther down. And you get both a side body waist stretch as you kind of lean to the side, and a hip stretch as you're folding forward. So you're going to do that a few times back and forth. And it's okay to kind of pause in the side for a moment to really feel into that side waist, kidney, adrenal spot on the back of the body. And then wherever you are, if you're far forward into the fold, great. If you're just a little bit into the fold, we bring our hands to the earth and you let the head round here, release the spine. Soften a low belly, let it widen, broaden. Let the chin roll towards the chest, releasing the nervous system here. And then we'll slowly come on up, and you'll put the other foot in front. And we'll do that again for the other side. So starting with the hands on the insides of the knees, rocking back and forth here, side to side. Pausing on maybe one of the side leans if there's a lot of information in there for you sensation wise. It's okay to kind of pause and feel into that. A few more times back and forth. And then eventually hands come down and we come into the fold, releasing into the hips. So it's the outer hip is definitely stretched in the fold. We also want to release the neck, and there's a rounding through the spine, and that's can be nourishing for the nervous system. Full inhale here, long exhale. Slowly come on up. We're going to come into a little bit of a seated sequence. You're going to take your left leg out and your right leg bent. So you're in kind of like a half Upavishta or wide-legged seat. So the one knee is just, the thigh bones are equal. They're both coming out at angles, but it's just the one knee is folded and the one leg is straight. Yeah. And then here, because the straight leg, we don't want to push on top of the knee, and you don't want to even push on the bottom of the thigh. You'll have that hand higher up onto the thigh. And then so our left leg is straight and that hand is up kind of towards the hip crease. And then the right hand is on the inner knee here. And you're gonna gently press down in a way that is nourishing. So there's a way to do this where it would be too forceful and it would not necessarily feel good, but there's like a down and then an out kind of pressure with the hands. And it's down, out, and even back, like you're rolling the thighs back. And then you're slowly coming forward. And for me, I find the stretch sensation pretty quickly here. Yeah, good. Pause here with the arms still kind of pressing down, out laterally, and a slight back towards the back body. And then from here, you're gonna slowly release the hands and let yourself fold a little bit further forward. Notice if, for me, it's my straight leg, it really wants to roll in, and I'm going to resist that rolling, which means I don't go quite as far down, but that's okay. Just a breath or two here through center. And then you're just coming over the next breath or so, over like, I don't know, 5% on the angle towards your bent knee, so towards the right. And then again, soften and release. So you're not quite folding forward, and you're not folding over the knee, you're somewhere in the middle. Soften. And then in the next breath, go over another maybe 10 degrees. So you're a little bit farther over towards the knee. Exhale, soften. And then another 10 degrees or so. And some of you might be like, there's no more 10 degrees for me. And you might be at your edge and you're just playing there. This for me is I'm belly over my thigh, releasing. And then the last space, one more time, it almost comes into a little bit of a twist and I'm past my knee and I'm releasing. And I get, when I do this, I get kind of a stretch through my left side body. Yeah. And then you'll slowly press on up here. Bring the left foot in, come into Badakanasana. Holding on to the feet, take the knees out wide. And just sort of notice the difference between the two sides. Yeah, good job. And then it's the other side. So right leg is straight, left knee is bent. And as best I can is my thigh bones are at the same angle for myself. So they're both set the same. And just my left knee is bent. Yep, and then I have my right hand kind of upper thigh. And then my left hand can be more lower thigh. And I'm both pressing down, slightly rolling out, and slightly rolling back. Right, so pressing down, slightly out and back, and then folding straight forward. I don't go very far here. So, you know, many of us will feel some pretty high sensation pretty quickly, and that's okay. And you just are staying where you are. Feeling into the seat, releasing the hip creases, softening. Let the jaw relax. Another breath or so here. And then we'll slowly put the hands to the earth here, and you might be able to fold a little bit farther forward than you were. I don't go very much farther forward. Just notice if you're dragging or pulling that straight leg with you, or if your seat has come up off the floor a lot, then maybe you're going a little too far for the actual flexibility within your pelvis tilt. So the sitting bones, they might be a little bit lighter, but the seat is still on the earth. Another breath here. And then we go over about 10% to the left. Inhale, exhale, and you soften here. Full inhale, full exhale. Release through the low back, inner thighs, hip creases. And then over another 10%. If you arrive to your knee before I do in your body, it's okay to just stay at the knee, right? Or maybe you're not moving 10% segments, you're moving 5% segments. So I'm a little bit before my knee, softening here. And then one more, and here I might be belly on my thigh. Releasing. Once you're over towards the side, the sitting bones are definitely not even, and you're heavier in your left sitting bone, and for me, my right sitting bone is slightly lifted. Not like flying off the ground, but that there is lightness there, if not a little bit of lift off. So you're over towards the bent leg side. And then we come past, and you're in a little bit of a twist. And you might even walk that right hand farther, and you get a little bit more of the side body. Just a breath or two here, releasing through the hip creases, releasing through the gluteal tissues, softening through side body. And then come back up. This time we take both legs wide to your Upavishta. Yeah. Okay, starting just upright in our Upavishta. We're going to start to sway side to side and just notice the weight shifting from side to side. So noticing the sitting bone on one side and then the sitting bone on the other. Just move back and forth on the two sides. Yeah, it's like I sometimes in class I'd be like joke of like driving the car, you know, so you're waving back, which I don't know why, but it works really good when we sort of turn the wheel. And this can be as slow or as quick as you need it to be. What I'm wanting you to feel as you wave side to side is notice how when you're over on one side, one sitting bone gets heavy and into the earth. And then when you're over on the other side, that sitting bone gets heavy and into the earth. And then the other one's light, right? So that you're shifting the physical weight as you sway side to side. Say another breath like this. And then the next time you're over towards the right side here, you're gonna pause. So it's like you've turned your car wheel all the way over to the right. And you wanna feel the sitting bone on the right side, on the right hip, be lighter and into the ground. So deeper pressed into the ground. And on the left side, so the away side, you're going to reach out like you're gas pedaling the toes, like you're pressing down on the gas pedal on the left toes. And that should lean you even farther over to your right. And then you might take your peace fingers around your big toe. If you can't reach your big toe, just hand on the ankle or hand on the floor is fine. Taking the peace fingers around the big toe, gas pedal the left here. And then we'll reach our left arm up, just straight towards the ceiling. And that's where we start. This might be enough for you. And if this is enough for you, you're just staying here and you can move the arm a little bit. If you want to continue, your right elbow comes to inner thigh, inner knee, and you press into that elbow and spin the heart upward. Keep gas pedaling, reaching through the left toes as you side bend to the right. And then maybe last step would be, if it's interesting, take that left arm overhead. And then we come on up and you just notice that. A lot of movement, big opening through side body. And then we start to sway a little bit. So you can feel the shift of your side to side. We won't sway quite as long. Or turn your car wheel, whichever one, which swaying or turning the car wheel, whichever one works better for you. The next time you're over towards the left, stay on the left. Feel into that left sitting bone. Let the left sitting bone root into the earth. And then reach out through the right leg, like you're pointing through your toes, point through the big toe ball mound, or gas pedal the toes, push into an imaginary gas pedal. And then either peace fingers around the toe or hand on the floor or behind, or hold the ankle or the shin. All of those are okay. You can also have a strap here if that's useful for you. And the first starting cut is just opening the arm up to a diagonal. So notice where your collarbone is on your own body and take the arm just straight out as if the collarbone continued in the same direction as your upper arm bone all the way through middle finger on the hand. And that this is an okay place to stay and work and feel into. Keep reaching through right toes, grounding through left sitting bone. If you want to go a little further, you take that left elbow to the inner thigh or into the inner knee and you press that in to the leg and spin the heart up. Here's our twist. This might be enough for you. If you have a little bit more, maybe the arm comes overhead. Keep gas pedaling through the right toes. Ground and soften into that left sitting bone. Left hip crease softens. Reach through the fingertips. And then with the next inhale, come up nice and big. Yeah. Take the legs in here. We're going to sit onto the heels. If sitting on the heels is uncomfortable for your feet, you can take a block and sit on top of a block, or a pillow and sit on top of a pillow. We're just bringing our legs back into something symmetrical and in for a moment. We do our neck stretches, neck and shoulders. So sometimes it can be useful to have a block off to the side if your hand doesn't easily reach the ground. We're going to start by stretching into the right side of our neck. So you're going to take your left ear to your left shoulder, like you were just going straight over. Try not to go forward or back, but just go straight over to the left. Stretching into the neck. And then reach the right fingertips away at a diagonal. Try and soften through the tissues of the shoulders here, particularly on the right side. And then like we're playing a guitar string and we're taking that guitar string on our neck muscles, just one string back, just tilting the head, staying in the side, but tilting the head just one tiny string back. So you're getting onto the front side of your neck. And then center, and then one guitar string forward, so you're getting into the back side of the neck. And then we'll slowly let the head roll down to look at the lap. Pause here for full breath. Relax to the back side of the neck. And then slowly, as if moving from the bottom vertebrae, from the bottom of the neck, slowly take the head back up to neutral. Yeah, good job. And then we're coming to the other side. So right ear to right shoulder. Reaching that left arm out if that's useful for you. Stretching into the side of the neck. And then taking it one guitar string back, tilting the head slightly back. And then one guitar string forward, slightly forward, and into the back side of the neck. And then we take the head down, release the hands to the lap, gazes to the lap. Keep the chest lifted, so the chest should be rolling up, but the head is released down. Relax to the back side of the skull. Let the front of the throat be soft so that the fold of the crease of the neck is allowed to fold inward. Widen, broaden the back side of the neck. And then we'll slowly lift the head on up. And then we're going to come down onto our back. If you have a blanket or a pillow for your head, you'll have something underneath your head. And then if you have a pillow or bolster for underneath the knees, you'll have that, and then a strap. So we're going to do a little bit of a hamstring stretch and then our Savasana. So I'm setting myself up so that it can come in. If you don't have any of those things, just being flat on the back is fine. And then if you don't have a strap, you can use a scarf. And take the strap around the right foot, the right arm straight here. Straightening into that right leg, releasing into the back side of the left, or releasing into the back side of that right leg. Softening through the front hip crease. Another couple breaths here. In each moment, that hip crease gets softer and softer. The back side of the glutes gets wider and wider. And then you can keep the strap on the foot. You're going to bend that left knee. It might be placed on top of your bolster if you have that. The ankle will come on top of the left knee, and then you'll pull that left knee in towards the chest, stretching into the outer hip on that left side, just for a breath. And then release that left foot back down. Release the leg back up as your left leg extends. Switch hands, so it's still right foot, it's now just left hand. And here we're coming into the IT side. So we let the leg come slightly across midline. Soften deep through the inner thigh, front of the hip crease. Relax that into the body, allowing that to melt, melt, melt. Keeping your awareness here. Soften through the whole expanse of the pelvis. With each exhale, can it get a little bit softer? Just a couple breaths here. Good job. And then relax the left hand, take your left foot, stick in the strap or the loop of your scarf, put the right leg down, wrap the strap around your left arm, first just stretching through our hamstrings on the left side, back side of the back leg. As in through the glutes, especially on the back side, there can be sort of this gripping or drawing in towards the internal of the body, and we want to allow the back side of the glutes and the hamstrings to expand out towards the surface of the skin. And on the front side, on the hip crease, that's what draws in and folds into the body. And allowing the top of the thigh, the flesh, the skin to move closer to the bone. And back side of the seat becomes wide and broad, soft. And then we'll bend into our right knee. You can keep the strap on the foot for convenience. You put that left ankle onto the right thigh and then lift the right thigh up towards the face, interlacing the fingers behind the thigh, stretching the outer hip on the left side. Couple breaths here. And you'll put that foot back down, extend left back up, reach your right leg across the floor. Right hand, so opposite hand is foot. So we've got our left leg straight, right hand's extended. And here we're crossing midline, softening deep within inner thigh hip crease. Releasing that outer leg. Again, just noticing on the back side and here on the side body of the leg, that kind of almost as if the texture of the skin wants to grip around the bones, and to see if in any way we can allow that texture to be more expansive, more spacious. And that the texture on the inner thigh in the hip crease becomes melty, non-resistant. The low belly softens deeply. Yeah, good job. And then you'll slowly release the leg, take the strap off, extend the legs out onto your mat, release the arms to the sides. And coming into our Savasana, letting the eyes close here. Full inhale, full exhale. I'm resting here for a few minutes. And quiet, letting the earth support you. And then deep breaths, starting to deepen the inhales and exhales. Just knowing that if you need to, it's totally okay to stay just as you are. Letting the breath be your guide. And slowly finding a really big full inhale and let the exhale fall on out through the mouth. And eventually adding a little bit of movement into the body. When you're ready, slowly rolling over to one side or the other. And pause there for a couple breaths. And so just noticing any quality of sweetness here. That this is the vibration of surrender, which there is a restfulness here, a calm. And that restfulness, that surrender, it opens us directly to the line of grace. It creates deep receptivity. And receptivity is needed for grace to enter. In her wholeness, her deep nourishment, her steady hand. She enters us as we are receptive. When you're ready, letting yourself come on up to a seat. And bring the hands to the heart and bow the head on in. May you be nourished by your own being. May the comfort of your own loving embrace offer you support, nurturing. May you be receptive to grace. Namaste.